Androli.
As you are a professor in political science, will you add some Syrian crisis into your textbooks?
Syrian crisis in our textbooks?
Yeah.
Sure. Right now I'm teaching a graduate seminar and a senior undergraduate course in political science, international affairs. And both of these courses discuss the issues of Arab Spring and the issues of the protest movements emerging throughout the region. And we have a great interest by the students and the faculty to learn more about what's happening in the Middle East, why these revolutions taken place, and why all of a sudden the entire international community came to the rescue of the civilian population after a long period of time where no one really was as involved in supporting democratic reforms in the region. So definitely for international affairs students, particularly students living in the Middle East, and events in the Middle East are impacting their lives directly or indirectly. They are very interested to learn more about what's going on and what's happening around them and to make sense of it, whether in their studies or in their research. In addition, we are here at the Lebanese American University in Beirut. We have a large percentage of students from around the Arab countries. So we have people from Libya, we have people from Syria, we have people from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. In fact, I had one student, he was the grandson of the Libyan king. He was part of my courses that I offer here at LAU. And definitely the Arab Spring is of great interest to this mixture of students.
So did you find out what's the reason why the revolution erupted in the whole Middle East in the study?
Well, we are still trying to find out, and we are conducting research as faculty and as group of researchers around the region, and we are trying to investigate what's happening. I, for instance, have been conducting interviews with Arab activists who were leaders in various revolutions, and trying to sense from them the reason why all of a sudden this great mass movement emerged in the streets. And what's the secret behind their success, at least in Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, and Yemen. And there are things that we could tentatively speak about as causes for the revolutions. And there are things that similar causes between all, and there are things that are not similar. There are different causes, and these differences vary from one country to another. Now, the common cause, I would say, is repression and call of people for greater freedom. And this is common throughout the region. And if you note that all these revolutions particularly took place in countries where the regime is autocratic, where you have one leader, one party, and a ruling family, give or take, with a strong military and security apparatus repressing people's right to expression, to assembly, to all kind of rights that they should have as normal citizens of their country. So the call for freedom was common among all these different countries. Now the reasons sometimes differ from one country to another. So the reasons In Syria, for instance, is a quite different in various ways than a reason in Egypt. In Syria, the sectarian reason dominates over other causes. The repressions in Syria has, at least for the past 10 to 20 years, have increasingly took its toll on a Sunni population in favor of Alawi. So the grievances in Syria that's helping mobilize the population there against the regime is predominantly sectarian oriented. This issue was not a reason in Tunisia, for instance. In Libya, some of the causes were tribal. The differences of certain tribe are having more gains and benefits being part of the regime than others. The people in Benghazi, for instance, were continuously feeling that they were left out. So there are differences as well to talk about. Now, the success stories of mobilization also is of interest. Why these revolutions took place with such success? We can definitely nowadays talk about a universal value that is being adopted by the young generation. And some of these values include the value of human rights, the value of citizenship, the value of being equal politically in rights and responsibilities. These have become a kind of universal, and they become more and more receptive by the young generation in the Arab world. And that's why we have seen lately, at least in the past 10 years, a mushrooming of civil society organizations calling for rights, particularly in Egypt and Tunisia, for instance. We have an expansion of the number of civil rights and non-governmental organizations calling for and advocating for these issues. Now, technically speaking, also there are innovations, universal innovations, such as the internet, such as the social media, that were very critical and crucial in helping out the protesters link up to one another and organize effective campaigns for their cause without being easily repressed. So the social media, the internet were among the means, effective means to mobilize, especially not only because their accessibility to a large number of people, but also because this means of communication does not require the strong structural leadership to be organized on a paramedical level. It's a groups, a large number of groups can organize without a leader, and this makes it really difficult for the authority to undermine the ability of the organizer to mobilize.
Yeah.
So definitely that's a mean. Now, there are other common causes one can speak about as well across Arab countries that led to the revolutions. Other than what I just mentioned, we could speak also about a large number of educated youth coming out from universities and colleges, not finding jobs because widespread corruption among leaders and governments, monopolizing the job market and economic benefits to those who are supporting the regime, while denying such benefits to the largest population in these countries. So young people, educated, coming out in a large numbers from universities with great global exposures to universal values, like I mentioned, with the ability to organize through the internet and various aspects of social media, were crucial reason and common and to a large extent in making this revolution happen and to be successful. Now, there is another dimension of this revolution one can also speak about, and that is the international dimension. How the big powers such as Russia, China, United States, Europe, and Arab countries, particularly Gulf countries, have interacted with these revolutions. In certain aspects, international involvement in these revolutions fostered and helped the transition to be smooth, such as Tunisia and Egypt, and to some extent Syria, and to lesser extent Yemen, and to no extent at all in Syria. Of course, I mean, now these revolutions that's happening, like I said, with the internet, with the great involvement of the youth, have brought live images to the world of what's happening and how the regimes are repressing civil rights, which made it very difficult for international society to act as they used to act before. That is, we didn't hear nothing. Nowadays, they're forced not only to hear what's happening, and also to see what's happening. And they are, international community nowadays can be easily subject to questioning by their own populations. Okay, their own people in Europe will, if Europeans didn't do anything about what's happening in Libya, for instance, their country will be subjugated to questioning. So therefore, first, we have to know on an international level things are exposed, and they're very hard to manipulate like they used to be done before. Government not responding and regimes repressing their own population without no one knowing about it. Now everybody knows. Live images emerging, and therefore it is hard. Yet we've seen smooth transition happening when the entire population came to the aid of the citizens, like what happened in Libya, and to some extent Yemen. However, in the case of Syria, it's proven to be very difficult. And the international division over Syria, Russia and China on one side, Europe and United States and Arab countries on the other, this division has made the prospect of peaceful change or convincing the regime of yielding to reform a much more difficult process.